Welcome back, YouTubers, to another NXT review with me, Mr. Parkin, on behalf of the British Fist. So if you have any questions or comments regarding NXT, this show itself, or the up-and-coming special event, which is going to be happening next week, please let me know down in the comment section below. So, this was the go-home show to what I feel, on the whole, and I think I've made my feelings very clear on this, has been a very, very rushed NXT TakeOver show. I mean, the only match on the show that doesn't feel rushed is the main event, which is Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Everything else feels like it's just been rushed at the last minute, and it really does make me wonder how much time and effort and preparation of NXT put into this. How much time and effort, etc., has Triple H and the boys that are leading the operation put into this? Because we only found out this week what the show was being called. NXT TakeOver Rival, or Rivals. You know, a week before it airs on the 11th of February, we're only finding out the name of the show just now. You know, again, this has been one of the worst built-to takeover shows we've had yet, in my opinion. Definitely. And as of the go-home show, we only had 3 matches on the card. The Women's Championship match, the #1 contendership match, which is going to be decided tonight, so technically only 2, and Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. We only had 3 matches on the card. So I was hoping that this show, we were going to get at least 2 more added to the show. A tag team title match for a start would help. And maybe a match for Baron Corbin or a Tyler Breeze or something like that. And I may at some point do a preview of the special event at some point soon. But I think I've made my feelings very clear on it in the last couple of NXT reviews. So maybe I won't, maybe I will. It just depends if I get the time, as I've got a pretty busy week or so ahead of me after today. And I thought also I would take advantage of the free February on the WWE Network and actually give it a try. And so far, so good. I think the WWE Network is a pretty nice, solid piece of work. I've been watching NXT on it. I watched NXT this week on it. I'll be watching NXT TakeOver Rival next week on the WWE Network on the 11th of February live. So, you know, I quite like it so far. Whether or not it's enough for me to pay $9.99 a month for, I don't really know yet, but I'm going to give it a try for maybe a couple of months and then make a decision onwards. But as of now, I am quite impressed with the WWE Network, I must admit. You know, when I saw that Emma versus Carmela was opening the show, the first thought in my head was, have we not got better things to show on TV, especially the week before an NXT TakeOver special? Are these girls on the card? If they're not going to be on the card, what was the point in having them on these shows? I've always felt that go-home shows should specifically highlight and build to the matches that are actually on the card. And the lack of time NXT have had to really build to this NXT TakeOver show, they need all the fucking time they can get to build up some of the matches on the show, which, like I've said many times, have been rushed last minute, most of them. So Emma versus Carmela, I really don't know why this is on the card. But anyway, moving on from that, Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy were on fire once again. I think it's got to the point now, though, where it's very predictable what they're going to say, and while that can be a good thing and the crowd can chant along to it, I think at some point soon they're going to have to change their dialogue a little bit, in my opinion. Otherwise, they're just going to seem a bit same old, and you know, it's not going to resonate as much with the fans down the line. And it's also funny to me, the last time we saw Carmela, she was losing to Leather Bates, Blue Pants, and also the last time we saw Emma on NXT, she was losing to Carmela. So it's funny how these things work, isn't it? And I said this last week as well about Emma. It's amazing that this time last year, she was one of the top divas on the NXT roster and ripping it up with Paige in the NXT Arrival for the Women's Championship at the time. And then she goes up to WWE Raw SmackDown to have a stint there, and now she's back at the start again. It's just amazing how these things happen. I really think it shows the difference between NXT and the WWE Raw SmackDown roster, in my opinion. And, you know, Emma came back and she's nowhere near as over as she once was either. And Carmela beats Emma pretty quickly here, and I must admit, I really didn't care too much for this match. I really didn't. You know, Emma got beat like a jobber. She's nowhere near as over. I'm finding it hard to get into the gimmick again, because she's having to start from the beginning again. So this segment, to me, opening the show was just meh. But on the other hand, I say to people out there, at least this show had 2 segments involving women on the show. We had Emma versus Carmela, and then we had Bayley versus Becky Lynch, which was there to try and build up the Fatal 4-Way match at NXT TakeOver Rival between Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Becky Lynch. Now, 2 of them were on show here. I think Bayley went over in this match as she's just returned, and it looks like they may be building to Bayley versus Charlotte at some point down the line. I think this is definitely the right call. They set up a little bit of tension there between Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch by having Sasha Banks throwing Becky Lynch into the ring, allowing Bayley to get the victory. So I thought they did a good job here. They've already teased tension between Bayley and Charlotte, the two baby faces, and now they're teasing a little bit of tension between Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, the two heels. So this now feels, rather than like a sort of tag match fatal 4-way, this actually now feels like a fatal 4-way where all the women are going to be fighting for themselves. So I think the segment in that sense, you know, and the segments before it have done a decent job of it, even though I felt they kind of rushed into this quite a lot, but that's a lot said for NXT right now. They did a good job here, actually, you know, making it feel like it was every woman for themselves. So they announced the rematch between the Lucha Dragons and Blake and Murphy for the NXT Tag Team Championships at NXT TakeOver Rival. You know, that makes a lot of sense. I hear that the reason why they gave Blake and Murphy the titles at such a short period of notice was because they want to do something with Kalisto as a singles wrestler. So that they'll Lucha Dragons lose there, obviously, and Blake and Murphy will go on and, you know, keep the NXT Tag Team Championship. So that's at least a tag team title match for NXT TakeOver, despite the fact it really hasn't had much build. And it looks like, from what they're doing with Tyler Breeze right now, the loser from Hideo Itami and Finn Balor will face Tyler Breeze at NXT TakeOver Rival, and that makes that's good because, you know, it gives Tyler Breeze and the loser of the main event between Finn Balor and Hideo Itami something to do at NXT TakeOver Rival, which, you know, we need to get these guys on the shows like that because they're, you know, some of the main characters on the show. So at least we've got sort of two odd matches teased there. More importantly, the match for the NXT Tag Team Championships, which we've had a Tag Team Championship match for, I believe, the last 4 takeovers, so there's no reason why there shouldn't be one on this show. So on this go-home show, the week before NXT TakeOver Rival, we had our semi-final week for the #1 contendership NXT Championship Tournament, and the first match we got was Adrian Neville versus Baron Corbin, you know, right in the middle of the show. And going into this match, I was just thinking, how are they going to have Adrian Neville win while not making Baron Corbin look weak? That's really what I was thinking, because I knew Baron Corbin wasn't going to go on to the final of this. I just knew it wasn't going to happen. And, you know, I just wanted to see how they were going to try and preserve this undefeated streak that Baron Corbin was going on. More on that later. This was actually the longest match that we've seen Baron Corbin in to date, and I think these two guys were having a pretty surprisingly good match. I mean, they both played their roles very well, in my opinion. Baron Corbin as a big man and Adrian Neville as an underdog, so to speak. And then, when it was starting to get good, you had Bull Dempsey come out and interfere to let Adrian Neville get the win. So, in essence, it wasn't a clean win for Adrian Neville, but at the same time, the undefeated streak is over now for Baron Corbin. That is a real shame, in my opinion, because I still think they could have avoided this whole thing by just having Baron Corbin and Bull Dempsey just fight to a double disqualification or a double countout or something. It also would have meant that we wouldn't have had Baron Corbin defeating Bull Dempsey clean twice in about 2 minutes, and then that, you know, we've now got a match between these two at NXT TakeOver Rivals, which is going to be a no DQ match. And when you've had Baron Corbin already beat this guy in 2 minutes in his first 2 matches these people have had, then where's the intrigue in this match, really? I just think that this whole thing with Baron Corbin could have been booked differently, so you could have really built some heat in this feud, as if it really needed any more, and also preserve the undefeated streak, which I think is kind of part of Baron Corbin's character. So I just felt this could have been booked a whole load differently, and maybe the reason why it was booked this way because they were rushing, you know, their build and their shows so much. I don't know. Our second semi-final match and main event match of the evening was Hideo Itami in his very, very highly anticipated match against Finn Balor, with the opportunity of one of these two guys to go to the finals of the #1 contendership NXT Championship Tournament, which was going to be held at NXT TakeOver Rival. A lot of people I know were looking forward to this match because they see, you know, Hideo Itami and Finn Balor, both guys who are in New Japan Pro Wrestling or whatever. Let's wonder how these guys would fight on NXT. And I'm right there with you. I wanted to see these two guys face off. I really did. And I just knew these guys were going to go out there and give us at least a good match. And the story here was very simple, so they could really mainly focus on the wrestling. The story here was 2 partners going after the ultimate prize in NXT. That's really all the story there was to it, so they could focus mainly on going out there and having a good match. And they had a good match, and we all knew they would. And, you know, I don't really have too much to say about this match because they delivered what I expected them to deliver. It wasn't a fantastic match of the year candidate or anything, but it was definitely a good, good match to end an NXT show. And I think these two guys got about the right amount of time. I don't think they needed 20 minutes or anything. It's got a good 10, 12 minutes. It puts Finn Balor over pretty strong. And I also think he was the right winner of this match as well. It's personal preference, really. I think Finn Balor has a lot more to offer than a Hideo Itami at this point in his WWE/NXT career. So to see Finn Balor win here, I was very pleased with. And it looks like Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor for the #1 contendership for the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver Rival should be a damn good match. It really should. And I'm very, very much looking forward to this match. And it also looks like now Hideo Itami will face Tyler Breeze in some way or form on the show as well, which again should be another good match on the show. But Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor for the #1 contendership, very much looking forward to that one. It could have been either one of Hideo Itami and Finn Balor, and I still think we would have got a pretty good match out of them. So yeah, even though the NXT Championship Tournament was very rushed, or the #1 contendership, NXT Championship Tournament was very rushed, at least now going into the special event, we have a pretty good match to actually really solidify what that tournament was all about. Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor. So I thought the show was going to end with the Finn Balor and Adrian Neville thing on the ramp where they just sort of stared at each other, etc. But it actually ended in quite a nice way, in my opinion. You had this build-up insight video package into Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. And I just thought this was a nice change of pace from the usual, main event match finishing the show, main event promo finishing the show, main event angle finishing the show. I just thought it was something nice, simple, and different that was going to showcase these two, exactly, their history, who they are, why they're fighting, and what they're fighting for. Keep it simple, stupid. Very effective segment, and like I said, a nice change of pace to end a wrestling show than to what we would usually get. So Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn didn't really need to do anything on this show. I think the build for that was already there and people were already excited for it. But this video package did also get its job in maybe getting some last-minute people to think, maybe I will watch this now. So yeah, I thought the show was okay this week. Pretty good, I would say, actually. I mean, this show would be sold mainly on Hideo Itami versus Finn Balor, and that was pretty good. But I also thought we got some good performances here out of Adrian Neville and Baron Corbin. And also, I thought it was nice that we had 2 female segments on the show as well, even though I felt one of them was a tad pointless. But on the whole, this show was pretty decent, but the build to NXT TakeOver Rival hasn't really been very good, in my opinion. And I will probably go more into that on the preview video if I do. But like I said, I've made my feelings very clear on that so far. 3 weeks to build up to a special event. Just can't do that. Really can't do that. It feels like the only match on the show which has had some time and effort really dealt with it is Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. And yes, there's going to be some very good matches on this show. Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor is going to be a good match. I also think that if we get Tyler Breeze, Hideo Itami, I also think that's going to be a good match. So we've got other good matches on the show. I just wish they got a little bit more time and effort and build like some of the other TakeOver matches and some of the other TakeOver shows I've had in the past. But anyway, any thoughts on this? You let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you same time next week for NXT TakeOver Rival, which is going to be on February the 11th on the WWE Network. Do not miss it. I won't be missing it. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and goodbye.